Hey guys, welcome back to this tutorial to make a presentation, nice presentation into the CryEngine. So this is the part 2 and this is the where we left our character, our scene in the first part. So now we're gonna take a look at, in this tutorial I'm gonna try to show you how to set up correctly the material, how to, we're gonna play a little bit with the volume fog to make kind of volumetric effect in the scene. And then I'm gonna show you the specs we need to change to make something really high-end screenshot, like if you want really high resolution for the shadows, of if you want anti-aliasing, all this kind of thing. And finally, we should finish with the how to make screenshot and how to make a turntable, how to animate, for example, a character to spin on itself, and how to record a video of that with how to animate camera as well, and yeah, how to record all of this. So let's start with the material. I'm gonna press M to open the material editor, and we already set up the texture map at the right place, but we still need to play a little bit with the parameters of the material to make it exactly what like we want. And I'm gonna show you how to as well change some of the shaders, use another shaders for some of, for example, the clothes. We're gonna use a new shader for the clothes, and etc, etc. So we're gonna start with the body, and the ID one, which is the body, and the body is made of mostly of metal and shiny plastic. So we're gonna use the default shader. The default shader gonna be fine for this. And if you go to, for example, if you go to the material settings, you see that we got a rollout for the shader, and if we click on it, we got a list of several shaders that is built into the CryEngine. And the default one is the Illum shader. This is the one you're gonna use the most of the time, but sometimes you're gonna need some other shader, like the clothes shader that we're gonna use after this one. We're gonna use for the clothes. You got, for example, this one, which is specifically used for the eye. We got different parameters that is useful when we want to make eye. We got this one for the glass, this one for the hair, for example. This one is really useful, the human skin, which is the shader that's gonna do some subsurface capturing that simulate the effect of the skin, etc, etc. So for the body, we're gonna stay with the Illum shader, which is fine for us. So we're gonna take a look at the shader parameters. This is where all the fun's gonna be for the material. And for the Illum shader, there is not so much parameters to play with. The one we're gonna use are the Fresnel one. So you see we got three parameters. We got the Fresnel bias, the Fresnel power, and the Fresnel scale. And what it's gonna do, if it's gonna allow us to play with if we want to add a Fresnel effect on our character. This is this parameter we're gonna play with to adjust this effect. So, for example, if I'm playing with the Fresnel scale, you see that the more I choose a high value, the more I'm gonna have a Fresnel effect. The Fresnel power is gonna be the with the low value, it's the fall off between the face that is unlit and the face that is lit. The face that is lit is gonna be at the edge of our character, and the face that is unlit is gonna be the face that is actually viewing the camera direction. And this fall off between the two kind of face is gonna be smoother and smoother as soon as I'm shooting a low value. But if I'm shooting something really really high, it's gonna be hard, much harder. The fall off is gonna be much smaller. And finally, we got the Fresnel bias, which we're gonna help us to control the ratio between the phase that's gonna be lit and the phase that's gonna be unlit by the Fresnel effect. So, for example, if I'm choosing a small Fresnel power, which is gonna make the fall off really smooth, and if I'm playing with the yeah, actually, it's not really obvious. I'm even not sure if what I'm saying is right or wrong. I have the feeling that it's removed the specular, which is weird. Okay, forget about it. I'm not really sure of what I'm talking about the Fresnel bias, but mostly what I'm doing is just playing with this parameter until I'm having a result that I like. So we're looking for something realistic, so I don't really want to have a too strong effect on this character, because it's not gonna feel realistic. So I'm gonna shoot a Fresnel scale. I think by default was alright. Sometime if you are making something like metal or thing like that, sometimes it's good to have a little bit much stronger Fresnel effect, in my opinion, but I think I'm gonna stay with something like that. And yeah, I'm gonna put the Fresnel bias by default, which is 1. Yeah, this I want the effect really subtle. I don't want to be too strong. So I think this is gonna be fine. And the last thing I wanted to show you for the body and for the Illum shader, it's in the shader generation parameters. So if you open this menu, we're gonna look at the tessellation. You got two options: the Phong tessellation and the PN triangle tessellation, and they does pretty much the same thing. It's just the algorithm that is different, and I'm gonna show you exactly what it's doing. For example, I'm using since this is a low poly, in some place you can see the topology of the mesh. For example, look at this part. For example, you can see that I'm missing some faces to make something really smooth, and you can see the polygons, you can see the edges. So what the tessellation is gonna do is it's gonna subdivide my mesh and make it smooth for me. Look at this. I'm gonna click on this, on the PN triangle tessellation, which I tend to use mostly because I think the algorithm is a little bit better than the Phong tessellation. So I'm gonna check the PN triangle tessellation, and you see that now it's really smooth. And what it does, it's actually subdivide my mesh. I'm gonna show you in the wireframe. Yes. So you see now it's really the topology is really dense. If I deactivate it, you see it's quite low. Actually, it's okay. I also activated for the fry pan for I don't know why. Maybe when I did some tests before doing this video. By default, it should be off. So back to the body, you see that the topology is low. I activate the PN triangle tessellation, and now it's really smooth. And I'm gonna go back to the I'm gonna deactivate the wireframe mode, and the best thing about this is you don't have to create a new map, like a displacement map or something like that. There is nothing at all to do. It's just driven by the normal map, and actually it's gonna the way it's gonna deform gonna be it's gonna depend only of the normal map. So that means you don't have to create another map. There is no bump map or depth map or displacement map to create. You just create your normal map, click on the PN triangle tessellation, and it's done. Just if you look at the shader parameters, if we go back to the to this menu, you see we got several new options that's appear. And the one you really want to play with is gonna be the tessellation factor. And what it does actually, it's if I go back to the wireframe mode, you see that, it's gonna control how much you want to subdivide. So if I choose a high value, you see that's this is really high. So depending on how much of smoothness you want. Obviously, if you choose a too high value, it's gonna degrade a lot the FPS. But since we're making I think since we're making the purpose is for presentation, we can abuse a little of these features, but right now there's no point to use that much. It doesn't make any sense to the default value of 1, maybe 2 gonna be enough. And another thing, for example, if I go back to 1, you see that the tessellation is depending also of the distance of the camera. So for example, if I'm close of this is a dynamic tessellation. That means if I'm close of the character, it's gonna be really dense. But the more I move back of the character, you see that now the polygons are more visible, and so this is really nice to for optimization purpose. So that's why I'm gonna use something like 2 gonna be enough, really enough. I don't need much more. Alright, so this is a nice feature that make it really smooth. And but I have to mention this. Pay attention to these features works really well when you got only one smoothing groups all over your character. For example, for the clothes, I got I had to separate. I had to create different smoothing groups. For example, you're gonna see that it's gonna be obvious, and you see what it's gonna do. It's gonna create seams where you have the smoothing groups. So it works better when you got one smoothing groups everywhere. And the other thing is it works better when you got evenly uniform topology. That means, for example, you see that I got a little bit of issue there because I gotta deactivate it and go back to wireframe mode. You see I got a really long polygon there. It would have been smarter for me to subdivide this polygon to make the tessellation working better, but I forgot that. I'm sorry, but at least I can show you I can show you the issue, and it's better for me to explain you what you should avoid. And obviously, if you want to use the tessellation, you should avoid this kind of polygon, the really long polygon like this, because it's you can have some little artifact. You see that now my mesh is a little bit wavy. It's because of the normal map that is not uniform on this polygon, so that's why I got something like that. Alright, so back we're gonna switch to the fry pan. So the fry pan is mostly the same thing as the body, so I'm just gonna copy the same settings that I use for the body for the fry pan, because it's the same material, mostly the same material. Oops, you didn't do this one. Alright, you have to press enter to validate your choice. Alright, and I'm gonna use the tessellation as well with a factor of 2. Nice, so we got the body, we got the fry pan, that's the setup. So let's start with the clothes now. Alright, so I'm gonna click on the clothes, and the clothes gonna be a little bit different than the body or the fry pan, because we're gonna use a specific shader for the clothes. So if I click on the rollout, I'm gonna choose the clothes shader that is dedicated for clothing, obviously. And now you see in the shader parameter I got different settings. This is different from the default one. We still have the Fresnel bias, the Fresnel power, and the Fresnel scale if we want, but we got new parameters, and one of them is the diffuse fall off. And what it's gonna do is, for example, if I choose a low value, that's gonna be the face that facing the camera gonna have low, gonna have not so much diffuse. But if I choosing a high value, for example, if I choose 1, they're gonna be diffuse everywhere. It's gonna be the diffuse color gonna be everywhere. So I'm gonna back to the default settings, and we also have the fuzziness. So we got 4 parameters that control the fuzziness. So what is exactly the fuzziness is, sometimes you got clothes with like for example wool or this kind of clothes with little hair that catch the light on the edge of your clothes, and these parameters gonna help us to control this and create this effect on our clothes. So for example, we got the fuzziness spreading amount. Just wait a minute. Okay. So we got the fuzziness spreading amount, for example. We're gonna start with this one, and this one is gonna be how much of the fuzziness we're gonna see on the surface. So if I choose a high value, I'm gonna have a lot of surface gonna be covered with fuzziness, with this kind of effects. For example, if I play with the fuzziness chance to make it more obvious, you see that's now. Oh, sorry, this is the contrary. If a low value gonna make a lot of fuzziness, gonna affect a lot of surface of the clothes that's gonna be affected by the fuzziness, but a high value gonna make it only on the edges. The fuzziness strength gonna be how strong the lighting how strong is the lighting of the fuzziness. We got the fuzziness smoothness, which gonna be we're gonna control the fall off between the face that is lit and the faces that is not. So if I choose a high value, you see that the fall off is really strong, and a low value, you see now it's much smoother. The fall off between the face lit and the face is not lit is much smoother now, with a low value of fuzziness smoothness, which is weird, doesn't make any sense, but I think I hope I'm not saying bullshit again, but yeah, it seems like if I choose a high value, yeah, the fall off is really strong, so I think I'm right, I hope. And finally we got the fuzziness saturation, which is it's gonna affect the colors on the face, the colors where the surface is under the effect of the fuzziness. For example, if I'm choosing 0, everything's gonna be black or white, mostly white because this is lit, but you see that it's not saturated at all, but if I'm choosing a value of 2, for example, this is the lit is it's depending of the diffuse color. So by diffuse got 1. Yeah, it's not so obvious. Yeah, you see, you can see with the glow that we got strong color that appear that due to the fuzziness saturation. All right. So I'm gonna adjust this to make it much better. Now I explain it. I'm gonna adjust it the way I want. So not so much strength, and I want something quite smooth. So I'm gonna choose a low value, and something like that. All right. Yeah, you see, it's just a matter of playing with the parameters and until you find the settings you want. Just try to move some sliders, see what how it affects your shadings and all, and just stop when you're happy with the result. I think it's almost there. You see, we got a nice effect of fuzziness on the edge of our character, almost like a rim light on the clothes. Wait, it may be a little bit too strong right now. Alright, I think it's better. So, alright, for the fuzziness, the other thing you can, I'm pretty sure you saw it, that now we're missing the specular. When we switch to the close shader, the specular is gone, and this is because by default there is no specular on the close shader, because most of the clothes don't need specular, but sometimes you want to that. For example, if you want to make silk or this kind of shiny clothes, and to do that you need to go to the shader generation parameters and click on anisotropic specular, and now we got the specular back. And if you look, it's actually it's working the same way as the Illum shader. As soon as you click on this, it's working the same way. So that means you can play with the glossiness, the glossiness sliders or the specular sliders to adjust it the way you want, and it's gonna be affected by the body spec, by the specular texture you put into the texture map. So it's acting the same way. The only thing that changed is as soon as you check this anisotropic specular option, you see now we got a new slider that's appeared into the shader parameters, which is the anisotropy shape, and it's gonna help us to control the way the specular is acting on our character. For example, the silk got a specular that is different than the basic specular, the one you can find into the Illum shaders. You need some, for example, the thing gonna use a high value anisotropy shape. If you want something default like the Illum shader, it's the value is 1.5, which is the default value, and you can, yeah, to be honest, it's this parameter is a little bit obscure for me. I don't exactly know how it works. I'm just playing with it and try to find a value that I like without knowing exactly how it works. I know this is bad. Yep, I think I'm gonna stick with the default value. I'm not gonna try too much with that. It's gonna be enough, I think. Alright, so maybe the specular is a little bit high. Just turn down, something like that, so we still can see the specular there, but it's not too obvious. Same for the hat, just subtle, which is what I like. And I think it's enough for the close. So let's see the glass now. Alright, so for the glass we got another shader that is dedicated for this, which is a glass shader. Alright, so as soon as I shows the glass shader, you see that now it's completely invisible. We can't see because it was I don't know how to say that in English. Wait a minute, I'm just gonna pause the video and try to see on Google Translate. Alright, so Google Translate told me this is the salt shaker. I didn't know that. This way I can cultivate myself. This is nice. So the glass, we can find the glass on the salt shaker. And as soon as we choose the glass shader, you see that now the salt shaker is invisible, which is not exactly what we want for the glass, obviously. So we're gonna have to go to the shader parameters and play a little bit with some of the parameters there, and also with the into the shader generation parameters. And we're gonna want to activate use diffuse map. This means that it's gonna use the diffuse. Now it's completely black. I don't know. Oh, I think I'm using the wrong maps for this. I think it's not the fry pan. I think it's the body that's using the. I forgot to press enter to validate it. Right, it's a little bit better. Yeah, because when we're checking the use diffuse map option, it's gonna also be also use the alpha of the diffuse to for the opacity. So now you see we can see a little bit inside. It's still not looking good, but now we got some opacity, which is better. And I got a doubt. Yeah, honestly, I don't know why there is no specular at all on the this little thing. Okay, I'm not really sure. There is something wrong there. Guess if someone know why it's not there is no specular, just send me an email. I try to edit the video after that, because yeah, I want to learn as well. I don't know everything, and this is one of the things that obviously I don't know. But we're gonna try to make it looks better anyway. So one thing we can do, because obviously it doesn't take the I can see for example I can see the environment reflecting on the on these kind of things, the one we set up into the environment probe. But we got if you look at the texture map, we got environment slot, which is basically the same thing. If you want, you can put a cube map into this this slot, and which gonna work like exactly that the same thing as this cube map there. It just you got two ways to make a reflection. If you want to create an environment probe, which is actually gonna act globally for all your character, So that means every time that I'm gonna change the color of this cube mob, it's gonna affect all the character. Or if you want more control onto specific material, actually you can put the cube map directly into the shader like this, and nothing happens. This is normal because I need to check the environment map option there, and now you see, yeah, now I got a lot of a lot of reflection, way too much. So I think, yeah, I'm a little lost with this shader. It's a little bit mysterious for me. So I think you can play with the opacity slider if you want to, because right now oh no, I know, play with the specular color actually, which gonna remove a little bit of the tone down the reflection that is way too high right now, and the glossiness as well to make it a little bit blurry. Looks better. And if you want, you can play with the opacity slider to make it well, more transparent. So this is a little bit better. Try to add more glossiness to this, and now we got something I think better. This parameter, I don't know what it is. Okay, obviously there's some mystery. This is a mysterious shader for me. So if you know more about this, more than me about this, just send me an email. I'm really curious to know how it works. I think there is a bump scale you want to play with, because right now you see that even if we put normal map onto the shader, we can't see the normal map there. But yep, if I put a bump scale of 1, now you see the glass is affected by the bump map. Actually, I like it even with 2, give it a nice effect. Alright, so I think it's yeah, this one, I don't know what it's doing. Seems to do nothing. The backlight scale seems to do nothing. I don't know what it is. Alright. Yeah, I'm sorry if all I'm saying is not really precise, but seems like I don't know everything about this shader. Alright, I think I'm not gonna spend too much time on this. Obviously, I don't know enough. So, to the colored glass, we're gonna use again the glass. The color glass is used for the. If you look at the inside of the shoulder pad, you can see that actually I put a lot of little thing, like you got some ingredients, like you got tomatoes, you got can, and bottle of I think it's oil bottle, for example. So he got everything he needs to cook right inside his shoulder pad, and we're gonna use colored glass for the bottle. Well, actually, you know what? I think it's gonna look better if I don't use the glass shader. I'm gonna give it a try, but since I don't know how to make it works nice, I think it's gonna look better if I don't use it. I may give it a try. can use a tint color if I want. So yeah, but it's not giving me the result I was hoping for. Alright, back to the Illum shader. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think it's gonna be better for now. Well, I think everything is set up correctly now. Oh no, I think I forgot something. Yeah, just one thing. You see that we got our clamp here, and the clamp is using actually alpha, because it would be too much expensive to model this kind of detail, so I used alpha on this. But since I didn't set up correctly, we still can see the polygon. And the other thing you can see, it's not two-sided right now, so it looks bad. It looks bad right now. We can't see the backlight, so we need to set up that correctly. So I'm gonna go back to the fry pan, select my material fry pan, and you got two ways to control the opacity of your material. You got one slider called opacity, which is by default at 100%, and you got one that is called alpha test. And the alpha test actually is it's gonna use the alpha of your diffuse to control the area which gonna be opaque or not, and it's gonna be black or white. There is no gray. So this is the cheapest way to make opacity. So for example, if I'm playing with it, it's gonna be enough for this kind of things. But if you using, for example, if you want to make hair or this kind of thing, you're probably gonna want to use the opacity sliders, which gonna make it. We're gonna use the 8-bit alpha, but also have some lighting issue, obviously. Yeah, so that's why I prefer to use the alpha test. And honestly, if you really want to make hair, it's better to use the hair shader than using the Illum shader with the opacity thing. Because if you're just using the opacity slider, you're gonna have some lighting issue. So if you can use the alpha test slider, which works really nice, and if you want more precise the alpha, maybe it's better to use the hair shader. Alright, so something like this should be nice. And now we need to set up the two-sided face. So go into the advanced rollout and just click on two-sided, and it's not working. Why? That wasn't what I expected. That's weird. Well, I think we're gonna have to double the faces into 3ds Max, or maybe someone can help me on the again. Just send me an email and try to correct the video after that. But yep, another thing that I don't know how to do. Sorry guys. Okay, I think we're gonna say it's finished with the material. So now I am gonna be able to show you how to create some volumetric fog, which nice volumetric effects for our life, for example, which should enhance the view. And so go into the entity menu, choose the render folder, and you should have something called fog volume. I'm gonna activate the shift space thing and just activate the follow terrain and snap to object before creating the fog volume. And I'm gonna click and drag into my viewport, and now you see I've got this huge small sphere, luminous sphere, and I'm gonna use this option, which is align selection, to align my my fog with my light this way. I'm just gonna move a little bit so it's gonna make it easier for me to select. Alright, and this is our fog volume, and okay, right now it's not looking really good, but we're gonna play with the properties of this fog to make it better. So the first thing we're gonna do is increase the size, because obviously it's way too tiny. So I'm gonna choose something like 10 by 10 by 10. Alright, so now this is some fog. This is really foggy. And if you look at the fog, you see that we got a fall off from down to up, and this is useful if you're trying to make some fog that is on the floor, for example. But this is not really what we want for a light like this, kind of volumetric effect for a light. And this is because of this fall off scale. For example, to make it more obvious, if I choose a high value, you see the what I was talking about. Let's say you want to make a fog volume for the floor. A strong, a high fall off scale will be nice. You see, this is what you would want to play with, and the fall off direction latitude and the fall off direction longitude gonna control the direction of the fall off. For example, if I'm choosing something like 0, now it's in this direction, and if I'm playing with the longitude, I can rotate the fog the way I want, etc, etc. But for this, I'm gonna Control Z to make it back to the place it was. But since it's a fog created by the light, I don't want any fall off, so I'm gonna use a fall off scale of 0. So now I should have a uniform fall off, which is what I want. The other thing is soft edges, which is a Boolean parameter. So that means it can have only two values, 0 or 1. If I put 0, you see that the edge of the fall off is it's hard edge, and if I put 1, I got soft edge. This is I don't know what it is. Okay, sure. So I'm gonna forget about it. And the last parameter we're gonna use is the global density, which is the parameter we're gonna control the strength of the fog. So if I'm using a much lower value, for example something like that, you see now it starts to become more the more what I want. It's still too strong, so now it starts to become to be something that I want, something better. We're gonna change the color as well. So for this I'm gonna just select my light, go to color, copy the value of copy the color of the light, and we're gonna select my fog and paste the value. So now we have a fog color that is the same of the light, and I'm gonna do the same thing for the blue light. So I'm gonna click on press Ctrl C to duplicate my fog, click it somewhere else. I'm gonna use the align selection to align this with my light, blue light, move a little bit so it's easy for me to select. Alright, and same thing, I'm gonna select my light, copy the color, select the fog, pass the color, and now we got something much better because we got some of area of color that is fighting each other. Right now it's not so good because maybe it's too the size is too big. Okay, this is much better. You see that the blue fog stop there. After that it's orange, and we're gonna do the same thing for the orange. So now it's better. I'm just gonna use a stronger density for the orange because I want the orange fog to be the dominant fog. Okay, it's maybe a little bit too much. Yeah, something like that. I think I kind of like something like this. Alright, and this is it for the fog. You see that it really improved the scene, in my opinion. Makes some nice effect which improve the scene. Still needs some adjustment with the lights, but it's already looking better. So yeah, I'm just gonna spend a little bit of time playing with the light parameter to make it look the way I want. So for example, I think the ambient is too strong maybe, so oh, actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to play with the post effect parameter. For example, if we want to increase the contrast or the brightness or the gamma of your image, I'm gonna show you how to do that. So you have to go to the terrain menu and click on time of day, and you should have windows like this that appear, and this is where you're gonna control all the you're gonna find all the parameters that is useful for example the sky, the global fog of your landscape, for example, the skylight, etc., etc. And at the very I forget to tell you, if you can't see all these options, it's maybe you have to click on toggle advanced properties. I think by default you got just this option, but if you want more, you have to click on toggle advanced properties, and now you got a full list of parameters. Alright, so at the very bottom you see that we got some option for color filter, color level, etc., etc. And the one that I want to play with is the min input and max input. And actually what it is it's exactly the same thing. If you using Photoshop, you got something called you probably know about that, the level adjustment, and you can control the contrast of your texture by playing with these sliders. And you see this value, this is exactly the same thing into the CryEngine. So that means, for example, if you want to adjust your contrast into the Photoshop, you can just take a screenshot of the viewport of the CryEngine, open it into the Photoshop, playing with this these sliders, and copy back the value into the time of day parameters. So since this is exactly the same thing as Photoshop, we're gonna use this parameter to control our contrast. So for now, for example, I'm feeling that I'm missing a little bit of contrast, so I'm gonna put maybe a value of 10 into the main input. So now you see my image is darker, and maybe in the max input I'm gonna use something like this. Something like this. Alright. I think it's better. I think I like it. Alright, so for right now it's, in my opinion, looking better. So let's adjust the light the way you want. You see, for example, we got some effect there, kind of a bloom effect, which can be nice, but sometimes you don't want this kind of effect, or sometimes you feel it's too strong. And this effect is controlled by the HDR dynamic parameters, and you can you can make it much stronger. For example, if I'm choosing a high value, I got a kind of HDR effect, stronger HDR effect. But if you want to remove this kind of bloom effect, you can also use negative value. For example, if I'm using -1, you see that's I don't have this kind of bloom effect anymore, which I prefer. And now it's just taking some time to adjust all the lights correctly. So maybe I'm gonna try to use something a little bit more higher for the blue. And maybe the key light is too strong, so the shadow is not enough strong. I mean, maybe something like that. And maybe my cube map is too strong. Okay, maybe this is better. Try maybe to put a little bit of blue tint into my cube map, something like that. I wonder if weird thing. I wonder if maybe it would look better if I'm adding a fill light to my character. I just gonna add a new light onto my scene. Try to put this like this, and make it turn down a lot the intensity of the light. And since this is a fill light, maybe I don't want too much specular, so I'm gonna use a diffuse multiplier higher than the specular multiplier, by twice higher, for example. So and just by playing with the diffuse color, I'm gonna be able to adjust the intensity of the light and try to use some color in it. It's maybe a little bit too strong. I like it. I'm just gonna activate the shadow, see if make it look better. Yeah, maybe a little bit. It wouldn't be recommended if you wanted to do a game. It's not optimized. it's not a good thing for the optimization, but since we are trying to make presentation, I don't really care if it's maybe too much. For example, the um, the uh, the effect of the shadow is so subtle that maybe if it was a game with gameplay and we were looking for optimization, it wouldn't make any sense to put shadow on the fill light, but I just wanted to try it, and since it's for the presentation purpose, I don't really care about the optimization. It's not have to be too crazy, but as long as the FPS is not too low, I think it's alright. Alright, so I think we got something pretty nice. Yeah, the bloom is maybe a little bit too high, so again I'm gonna right, it's better, but now the intensity of the light is not enough. Right, I think it's better. Alright, so and finally, well, it takes a lot of time to make this video. Maybe I won't have the time to show you how to take screenshot and turnable and make an animation, but at least I'm gonna show you how to set up the parameters to have high spec for the to be ready to take screenshots and have a really high spec for example for the shadows and for the anti-aliasing, etc. So you got into the CryEngine. There is a lot of things that happens with the console, and you're gonna have to type some line and to control various effects into the CryEngine. And since it would be really difficult to learn all the because there is a lot of variable you can change into the console, and since there is maybe too much to remember all of them, there is a nice feature here. If you click on the 3 point there, it opens a Windows with all the variables you are able to change, and you see there is a lot of variables. Most of some of them are just for debugging, some of them are just for yeah. The only thing you have to know is there is a lot of variables, and you won't use you're just gonna use a small amount of them. And we're gonna the first one I'm gonna show you is to increase the resolution of the shadow map to have better better quality for the shadows. So into the console variables windows, at the bottom you got a field called search, and you can type words in it, and you're gonna filter the variables with this word, which is really useful to quickly go to the parameters you want to change. So for example, we want to change the shadow resolution of the of our shadow map. So I'm gonna type shadow, and you see now this is all the variables that control the shadow, and the one I want to use is the shadow max text res, and you see by default it's 1024, and I can bump this to 2048, and I don't know if it's gonna be obvious in the YouTube videos, but the shadow is not looking better. You can even pump this value to 4096, but I got some issue. Like, for example, you see that there is something wrong there, and this is probably because of the fog volume, and it's maybe too high. So I suggest you to keep it to 2048, because higher you're gonna have some strange things that happening, and 2048 should be enough. Alright, so this is how you change the resolution of the shadow. I'm gonna show you how you play with the SSRO, which is the ambient occlusion, the screen space ambient occlusion. So actually, into the CryEngine you got several different type of ambient occlusion. You got the SSAO, which is the kind of the basic one, and the one you can find in most of actually you're gonna add some shadows where the geometry is gonna be close, but you got another type of ambient occlusion in the CryEngine, which is in my opinion much powerful and much nicer, which is called the SSGO. I don't know what it means, but this one is better because actually it's ambient occlusion, but it's gonna be affected as well by the direction of your lights. So that's mean it's gonna be much precise in a way. It's gonna add more shadows where there is already shadows, for example, and it's a little bit technical, but I'm not gonna go too deep into the explanation, because this is obviously something that I don't master at all. But the only thing that I can say is the you're gonna have better result with the SSDO than the SSAO. So we're gonna type SSGO into the search field, and now we see that we got the parameters that gonna control the SSGO, and by default it should be by default the CryEngine already using the SSGO. Actually, remember when we choose the very high spec, by choosing this option, CryEngine activate the SSGO by default. So you should have a 2 into these variables, which if you put your mouse over the variable and keep your mouse there, you should have a window with a little bit of description of each of the variables that pop up. So sometimes if you don't know what it is, you can try to find some explanation there. And you see for the SSDO, it's telling me that if I can choose 3 numbers, 0, 1 or 2. 0 is to deactivate the SSDO. I'm gonna show you 0, and now there is no SSDO. There is no ambient occlusion at all into my scene. And if I click on 1, it's gonna be enabled for local light and sun only, and 2 is gonna be enabled for all the lights. So I'm gonna set this to 2, and then another variable that is useful in my opinion is the SSDO radius, which is the radius of the ambient occlusion. And this is just a personal test, but I like to use a small value for the radius to make it more contrast ambient occlusion. For example, instead of 0.4, I'm gonna use 0.2. And I don't know if everything that I'm doing right now is obvious into the YouTube videos because of the artifact of the video, but I'm gonna try to explain with words, even if my English is not so good. I'm gonna try to explain the best I can what it does. So, like I said, the SS0 is to controlling the radius, how far the ambient occlusion is gonna go. And you got the SS0 ambient amount that I like to play with also. I'm gonna put that to 2 instead of 1. And what it does, it controls the I think the darkness of the ambient occlusion into the shadows only. For example, you see that my mustache is casting shadows on this on my arms. By default is 1, but if I'm using a strong value there, it's gonna start to be darker into the shadow area. 5 a little bit too much, but I'm gonna use 2. And the SSDO amount is the global amount of the ambient occlusion. For example, if I'm using 2, you see now the every part of my character is receive much more ambient occlusion. I think it's too much right now, so I prefer to use the default value of 1.2, which is maybe a little bit better. Alright, so that's it for the ambient occlusion. And the last thing I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna maybe show you, is the activate the ambient, the anti-aliasing, which is called into the variable console variable. It's called the super sampling with no space. And now I got 2 parameters there. The super sampling filter, I'm gonna determine which kind of filter I want to use for the super sampling. I prefer to use the number 3, which gives me a more sharpened result. But honestly, the difference is not really obvious. Just, I don't know, I feel better if I know I'm using the number 3 for no reason. Sorry. And after that, you have to use the super sampling parameters, and this one is gonna be actually what it's gonna do is it's gonna, for example, by default it's a value of 1. If I'm using a value of 2, it's gonna double the resolution of my actually it's gonna create a double resolution of my of the size of my viewport. So I'm gonna have a nice anti-aliasing. And since we're looking for something for presentation viewpoint, I even gonna go for something like 3. And you're gonna take quite some time, and you should have something really clean, really neat, like this. And you see, you can see the effect on the on my my info. You see that now it's way more tinier. It's because the resolution of the viewport triple by selecting a super sampling of 3. And oh yeah, I forgot, maybe I'm gonna go back to super sampling 1, and I'm just gonna show you how to remove this display info, because we don't really care. We don't want this on our screenshot at the end. So we're gonna type display info. We just got 1 parameter, and we just set 0 to remove the display info. Alright. And now back to my super sampling parameters, choose 3, and I got something really clean. So I think I'm gonna end the video right now. I didn't have time to show you how to make a screenshot with a big resolution, and how to make a turntable and animate the character. So I'm probably gonna have a part 3 for this. Sorry guys. Alright, see you.